Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, guy called the wrong store and demanded the manager. The second story, I helped an elderly lady, but did not work in this store. The third story, woman complained about her neighbors because she thought I was a cop. And the first story is, you should be ashamed. Irate customer blames me over the phone for another store's mistake. Back in March, I started to work at a local grocery store's online orders department, helping fulfill customers' curbside orders so they can be ready for pickup. From what my manager and supervisor have said, before COVID hit, the department was rather quiet, with only a team of 3 to 4 really needed for things to run smoothly. However, it all quickly changed, that we now need a team of 6 to 7 every day, just to barely function most of the time. This is due to the naturally massive influx of orders we've been getting, and all of a sudden, as many people now make the switch to online ordering due to our current times. Due to this sudden increased demand though, virtually every online order department hasn't been able to keep up half the time, so orders being late have become quite common. This can naturally leave customers rather frustrated, as they expected to have their groceries ready, only to be informed that they are late. From my experience, most can be quite understanding, but you occasionally get those angry people who want an ear to berate. Just to give you a little context, there are 2 major parts to my job. Part 1, picking an order, going around the store to retrieve the items the customer ordered before dropping them off in our department. Part 2, taking an order, assembling the order for when a customer arrives to retrieve their groceries before taking it out to whichever designated parking spot they're in. For the past several months, Part 2 is what I've been doing, as it's oftentimes the least enjoyed part of the job and has the most customer interactions. Now, I work in Store A, and during the week this call happened, things had been rather quiet. We didn't get as many orders as we usually do, and we were able to do quite well for the past several days. To help speed things along, I was in the middle of picking a small order, so my team could focus on the bigger ones, when the mobile phone rang. Nothing new usually, just a customer calling to pick up their order. Today wasn't one of those moments. Hello, thank you for calling Store A's curbside pickup. My name is blank. Are you here to pick up an order? You know, you guys should really be awfully ashamed of yourself for how you do this online order stuff. Excuse me, what? The other day I came to your store to pick up my order. It's supposed to be ready at 1 p.m. However, I get to the store and I'm told my order isn't ready yet. My order was supposed to be ready, but it wasn't. I'm sorry, sir, but I think you called the wrong store. Which store did this happen at? The man completely ignores what I had to say and just continues to ramble. Now, I wasn't too happy about that, so I went inside to the customer service to complain about this, because this is absolutely ridiculous. I placed in my order for 1 p.m. only for you guys to tell me that it wasn't ready. How? Sir, I think you might have called the wrong store. We didn't have any late orders yesterday. So after complaining at customer service, some more people come on to complain about their orders being late too. As we're complaining, I see barely any employee wearing a mask on, despite them being required now. Do you want this whole thing to last longer? Do you want to spread COVID to everyone around you like that idiot in chief we elected? People like you are why so many are sick right now. The phone rings again. An actual customer is here to pick up their order, but my manager sees I'm still tied up with this guy to answer, so he takes the call. I filmed the whole thing. How no employees were wearing masks when this loud manager lady comes down to tell me to be quiet. Then I'm being 2D loud when her voice is practically rattling the windows. She wasn't even wearing a mask too. Idiots like you are why we'll be having COVID till 2022. I already posted the footage to that Twitter, and many are angry like me. You're gonna get a call from police, and the court soon because of it. The guy hung up immediately after that. I'm still beyond confused, but the guy listened to absolutely nothing I said, and just kept rambling on about something that happened at another store. Things go normal as I inform my manager about the irate customer, just in case he calls the store directly. I'm making my way back to take out orders, only for the guy to call again. I give my usual script only to be cut off. I came yesterday to pick up my order scheduled for 1 p.m., but you Store B people told me it wasn't ready. It all made sense now. He thought he was yelling into the ear of someone from Store B, not realizing he had called my store Store A. I'm sorry, sir, but this isn't Store B. You called the wrong number. After going inside to complain, absolutely nobody was wearing any sort of masks. Do you people just want this to last forever? Because that kind of mentality will make it last forever. Your manager was also extremely rude to me. She wanted me to be quiet when she was practically yelling over everyone. What kind of store do you people run? As this guy rambles, I see more people have shown up to retrieve their orders, and this guy just won't stop and listen at all. Not even offering to pass the phone to my manager will make him stop, as he's essentially now repeating everything he said before, almost word for word. My supervisor finally just mimes for me to pass the phone to my manager so he can deal with this guy while I get back to my job. My manager has nearly a decade of retail experience with several years in HR, so he knew how to handle these kind of people. For the next 30 minutes, he was on the phone with this guy, listening to him complain endlessly into his ear and talking like a broken record at points. He repeats multiple points again and again. All the while, my manager simply says, "Okay," each and every single time. I had been informed that after 30 minutes, my manager was finally able to get the guy to realize he had been calling the wrong store this whole time. He was complaining into the ears of people who had no clue what he was talking about. Apparently, he didn't even apologize, but did like how nice my manager was to him that he wanted to place his orders with us instead. After needing some help, he finally did, with the whole thing going rather smoothly, yet never showed up ever again. My guess was that the embarrassment of the whole situation finally caught up to him, and he didn't want to come back. I'm probably wrong, but I can't hope. The next story is, It Happened Again, Feet Wholesome Ending. I was wandering about a rather well-known Australian store that sells, entertainment, I guess, electronics, just effing everything. Games, laptops, phones, TVs, movies. Some of them even sell fridges and washers and SH. They're once again kind of the only name in the industry in Australia, so not surprising that I was there. I was killing time wandering about looking at laptops, which I absolutely don't need, but I like to keep up with what's being released because, I don't know, it's fun. As I'm playing around with one of the new Microsoft Surfaces, I hear a voice beside me saying, "Excuse me." I look around to see the smallest woman I've ever seen. Can't have been more than 4.5 feet at most, looking very confused. She asks me if I can please help her with something. Now, it's worth noting that this particular store's workers don't have uniforms as such. They just have to wear relatively clean clothes and a lanyard with the store name on it. I am definitely sans lanyard, but this woman is clearly a minimum of 80 years old, so I give her a pass. I immediately know that I've once again been confused for a staff member, which kind of fills me with trepidation. But then I say, "Sure, how can I help?" Since I'm technically not actually doing anything, and the staff seem fairly busy, and that I haven't had someone come say, "Hey, can I give you a hand with something?" in like 20 minutes. So I figure they're rushed off their feet. This lovely woman has been nothing but polite so far, so I'm inclined to return the favor. She tells me she's looking for a computer so she can send emails and do the video talking with her kids and grandkids back in Pakistan. She tells me her name is Maria, which doesn't strike me as a particular Pakistani name, but I googled it when I got home, and apparently it's actually pretty common. Maria's from a town in Pakistan that I immediately forgot the name of, and she came over to Australia in the 80s with her husband for work, leaving behind her grown children. She's been back to see them several times, but she's getting too old to travel and wants some way to keep in touch with them. I ask her how she's been contacting them before now. She tells me she phones them, and also her husband had a very old desktop computer that they used for emails and such, but the computer has recently died, along with, most unfortunately, her husband. She's alone and wants to be able to talk to her family, so we go looking for laptops. She likes the look of a few of the fancier ones, but I determine that literally all she wants is email and Skype. So there's absolutely no point spending $2,000 on something with great capabilities when she can get what she wants for like $500. She eyes a 15-inch MacBook Pro, which I tell her I have and love, and so she's keen on, so I have to talk her down from spending $3,000 on technology she doesn't need. Turns out she's effing loaded. Who'd have thought? After about 20 minutes, eventually we settle on a 14-inch HP Pavilion X360 because she likes the touchscreen, which retails at $799 AUD. There's cheaper touchscreen laptops out there, but not many, and I figure spending at least a little bit more might be worth it for future-proofing and general life expectancy. Although if I'm being honest, I fully expect this laptop to outlive her. I ask her how she connects to the internet at home, and she tells me she has no idea. The old computer just did it. I have no idea if she has Wi-Fi at all, so I give her my number and tell her to call me if she needs help setting it up, seeing as I'm still off work, bored, and relatively good with technology. Since we've decided what computer she wants, I finally wave down an actual staff member who comes over to help. Maria tells the salesperson that I've been very helpful, and she gives me a sort of amused, "Wait, do you work here? Look," then takes off to get the laptop from wherever they keep them. I spend a few more minutes with Maria chatting about her kids and whatnot. The sales girl comes back with the laptop and takes Maria to the counter. And when I don't come with them, she's like, "Oh, are you not with her?" I say no, I was just browsing, but I had some time to kill. Maria thankfully didn't hear this, so she just thinks this store has awesome customer service, and I'm happy to continue that charade, because they usually do, and I don't know how to explain that I don't work there. And then everyone in the store clapped, and they gave me a free Nintendo Switch for being so nice. The last story is, I'm not a cop, lady. This was an incident well over a decade ago. At the time, I was a supervisor for a state park. It was a Monday morning, and I was getting ready to head into town to deposit the weekend's receipts, when my assistant told me that our work truck, a 9-year-old beat-up rust bucket of a pickup truck, was almost out of gas. I normally took my own car for the bank run, but took the truck instead so I could refuel it. After finishing the banking, I stopped at a convenience store to fill up the truck and to pick up some snacks, figuring to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now I was in uniform, but it was the sort that's rather standard to parks. Khaki shirt, dark pants, department patches, and I had a badge and a nameplate. I wasn't a police officer. Our uniforms did not look like any police uniform in the state, and my authority was strictly limited to the parks. Right after I entered the store, I heard an "excuse me" from behind me. I turned around and there she was. A Karen. "Yes, ma'am," I replied. She started on a rant about her neighbors, feeding the bears, and one bear had destroyed her bird feeder. Wasn't my problem. I said, "I'm sorry to hear that. You should call the game warden." She replied, "No, you're a cop. You need to go over there and talk to them right now." I tried again to get through. "Ma'am, I'm a park supervisor, not a game warden. You need to contact the game wardens. I can give you their number if you want." It didn't sink in. Karen insisted that I drive over there to talk to them, adding that she wanted them ticketed, and that she didn't understand why I wasn't doing my duty to take care of this. This from a woman who saw me get out of a battered pickup truck with a Parks Department logo, and my uniform patches and nameplate clearly say I work for the Parks Department. My patience was at an end. "Lady, one more time. I'm not a police officer, I have no authority to talk to your neighbors, and I've told you who you need to call. Please let me finish my shopping and get back to my park." With that, I walked away from her, grabbed some snacks, paid for them, and left, all the while listening to her complaining to other customers about the lazy cops in this area who won't do their job. I just shook my head about it on the way back to the park. The next weekend, the game warden for the area stopped by to see how things were going and to check people's fishing licenses. I told him about my run-in with Karen, and he said, "Oh, so you're the lazy cop she was complaining about." Yeah, she called and told me what happened. Turned out that her neighbors were people who rented that place for a week and were now gone. He had a talk with the rental owner about it. But Karen had a virtual bear buffet in her yard, multiple bird feeders, couple of large bags of birdseed on her back porch, and a deer feeding station she'd set up because, as she told the warden, she liked to see the deer. Karen got tickets for bear baiting and illegal feeding of wildlife, and almost talked herself into a couple of others by ranting at the warden about those tickets. We had a pretty good laugh over it. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.